Well, hello there. Too bad you can't see. Too bad you can't see my face. I'm assuming you can hear me because the green dots on the screen are like moving and stuff. The great thing about this whole setup, as cool as it may or may not appear to you, dear user, is that once I end the stream, it's already on YouTube, right? So I'm standing at False Creek, uh, uh, in Vancouver, and I might as well tell you I might as well tell you that from the perspective of SEO, streaming is, in a sense, it would be a low hanging fruit, apart from the fact that nobody understands what I'm about to tell you. If you actually understand what I'm about to tell you and you find some guy on Fiverr who you can create something around this concept with, it's not hard. There's actually software out there that does this, what I'm about to describe. Basically, it's possible to get onto page one of Google with practically any um, in practically any niche slash industry slash for any keyword, et cetera, et cetera. Now, listen, if you're not interested in this stuff, you probably wouldn't be watching this channel anyway, right? If you weren't interested in this kind of thing or my random banter, I try and make it for the every person, dear user. So what's in it for me? WIIFM, right? So that's everyone's favorite radio station. What's in it for me? I'll move closer just in case the microphone isn't capturing everything. I'm actually using my latest technological, well, not latest, but almost latest, right? I moved to Vancouver. Okay, so first of all, I moved to Vancouver. This is Vancouver. And I lost everything. Again, I lost everything. Okay. Um, 2009, I lost everything. Uh, 2011, I lost everything. Um, 2014, I almost lost everything. Guys, 2017, I lost everything. That was meant to be the last time, by the way. And then, 2017/18, because the thing actually started in the fall of 2017. Guys, 2018, I lost everything. And then 2020, I lost everything. What does it mean? I have no idea. But here I am at False Creek, and um, I want to not convince you of anything, but explain to you why the thing you call I slash me, okay, this thing, your name, this, okay, so I'll just explain to you right now, in fact, why this thing, uh, of course, something exists, right? But why this thing has no basis in rationality, okay, as far as I can tell. What does that mean? It means that there's no way to prove the I slash me. You'll say, how absurd. What do you mean you can't prove I slash me? Like, I exist. I think, therefore I am. You know what, guys? I'm a big Rene Descartes fan. God bless him and elevate him in degrees in the afterlife. This is great. Rene Descartes is great. Guys, I slash me is shit. It's mired in shit. Okay, so I'm streaming for the first time on YouTube. The great thing is that it's already on YouTube once I'm done streaming. I'm standing here with my new Chromebook. Guys, get a Chromebook. Guys, I was interviewed by Salesforce.com. I actually worked for Oracle. Okay. Uh, Mark Benoit, who started Salesforce.com, was at Oracle for like 14 years or something, and he went off and he started his own billion-dollar software company, which is kind of cool. Guys, they say that, first of all, your success is predicated around how many others you enable in terms of either making them happier or adding some value to their life or even helping them succeed. So if it's something banal like this, if you want to reduce it to mathematics, it's like if you want to become a millionaire, you make 10 other people millionaires, right? So it's like, what the hell does that even mean? So how do I make 10 other people millionaires? Well, that's part of what you need to figure out, I suppose. Now, I slash me. Okay, first of all, you got to understand that I believe that there is something there. This is not a point of contention. There is, simply put, something experiencing something. So there is an I slash me that is different from an objective world that is being experienced. Why even spend time thinking about this kind of stuff? Right? Why would you even ask such a question? Like does I slash me exist? Why would you ask if I there's a reason you'd ask a question like why does I slash me exist? The reason is because the thing that you spend 98% of your time and energy thinking about and working towards optimizing is this thing you call life story, my story, or your life story, right? So I might as well say on a side note, there's this dude out there on there. Here he comes, by the way, your user. Oh, actually, it's a different guy. The dude is ruining my video. Guys, I guess this was just a test video. I'm too lazy right now to complete this. And by the way, this guy's destroying everything with his stupid motor. And there's no sound control here in Vancouver, right? There's no sound control like the bylaws. There's no bylaws around sound and noise pollution. Literally, like eardrum shattering level noise levels. Okay, eardrum shattering levels of noise in the city. Like this little puttering in the background is driving me insane. So I'm going to save this for the next video, or maybe I'll just try and sum it up in 3 minutes without going crazy. Here's what it is. It's not just me. Like I believe, guys, I believe there is something experiencing something. So there is this thing called I slash me. I suppose you'd call it I slash me. Although, as you know, they talk about you being at one, quote unquote, with the energy of the universe, whatever that means. Okay, dude, your motor is to die for, bro. Your the sound is just exceptionally exquisite, bro. Slash unique. If I was a marketing guy, which I am, I'd be shouting and screaming about this thing. The guy, the guy's ruining my shot. He doesn't care though, right? And nor does anyone else except you, my dear user. And you might not even care, so why should I? Guys, okay. Here's the thing. I do believe there is some kind of intrinsic and fundamental and irreducible being or entity. There are 6 billion of these or 7 billion of these entities. Okay, so this is important. You'd be like, you have to ask yourself the first question. In fact, this is a logical kind of progression of thoughts. If someone like myself says to you, well, there may be no I slash me, the thing that you call me or I, this thing that I call you, quote unquote, okay, this thing may not exist in objective reality. You may first of all question my sanity if you actually understand this thing, right? It's like, how can you say there's no I slash me? So then you would be like, well, and then your mind would grapple for some external proofs or something, like some evidentiary proofs, and you'd come up, if you thought about it, you may come up with Rene Descartes. You may be like, well, I think, therefore I am. Now, at the same time, by the way, on a parallel and on a parallel thread, as it were, your brain might be thinking this thing, like, why is this question even important, guys? The only thing that is important is the question why. This is a Nietzsche level statement. This is actually a statement which is a subset of what Nietzsche said, which is that if you have a why, you can put up with any what. This is what he actually said. If you have a why, you can put up with any what. So now, why is your life story? Why? So once again, uh, there's nothing more important than the question why. Okay, this is a statement, obviously. There is nothing more important than the question why. So now, why is that? The reason that is because the question why relates to meaning, and meaning relates to your story, and your story relates to I slash me. Now, my question to you is, Have you ever thought about the possibility that I/me is not real, or at least not what you think it is? Of course, if you've not been living under a rock, as they say, you have heard about, you know, everything in the universe being energy, okay, and everything being one. Like I'm the same as that dude that just jogged by down the way, as it were, just then. Like me and him, like, well, so what does that even mean? So on the one hand, okay, so on the one hand, somewhere inside of you, this statement resonates. When I say, hey, listen, I'm at one with everything, something like this. Like Don Juan said something slightly different to Carlos Castaneda. All right, who was Carlos Castaneda again? No less than the father of the New Age. He wrote 10 best-selling books. I still, to this day, 25 or 20 plus years after discovering and talking about Castaneda, discovering, and I've been talking about him since then, and I still, to this day, I don't know why it's going to change, but I suppose it doesn't have to, or there's no reason for it to change. But to this day, I still have to explain who he was, right? And people are like, you talk about him all the time, and you quote him. And I've had Muslims tell me that he's going to destroy my faith or some banal thing like that. Don Juan said to Castaneda, he said, okay, you like words? Okay, so here are some words for you. They're actually the most profound wisdom anyone's ever going to tell you. Castaneda's like, great. He gets out his notepad, right? Because he's an academician. He's like, this is awesome. This is exactly what I've been waiting for all these years, right? So what is it? What are you going to tell me? Right? Now, he never called Don Juan master or teacher, or he used to call him Don Juan. Don means like sir. Juan is John in Spanish, right? Como mi esposita es colombiana, like my wife is Hispanic. So it's like, right? Don is like uh, um, kind of like a label of respect, right? So you call like these Italian fucking mafioso, they call their capos dons. Capo means a captain or chief or a boss, and they call them don, right? And I gotta say this, guys. I have to say how stupid it is that people, including myself, for years before I started researching these bozos, I used to respect mafioso just like you probably do. And now I realize part of my mission needs to be to talk about how, okay, how root level thuggish these guys are. What do I mean by that? So Elon Musk and physicists in general, I dare say, talk about first principles. My dad's a physicist, but not that kind of physicist. He used to be a research physicist. Now he's been teaching for the last 10 years or so. So now, irreducible principles, first principles, as Elon Musk calls them. So it's like this question of I/me. Now, again, I do believe there is something there perceiving something else. There is some ego-based entity. Of course, there is an ego-based entity. At least there's the perception of one, which, obviously means there's something there, right? So there's something perceiving something. There is an ego or a being. Let's say this: there's a being perceiving a world. I think that's what can be said for sure. Now, here's what it is, though, guys. Have you ever thought about this thing? Of course, I don't think you have, but I dare say it's a very intriguing thing. And it does relate. All of these things, I'm here to tell you that all of these things not only relate to the world of practical daily affairs, okay, but they're all that matter. The question why is the most important thing in the world. I'll just say it again and again because it resonates and it's a killer statement. Guys, Don Juan said to Castaneda, like I just asked you, have you heard about this belief or statement that you are at one with all of this? So me and that boat out there, we're one thing apparently, on one level, like energetically speaking, like me and this boat right here. Like, so I should be able to feel the water, I suppose, and kind of like wonder when they're gonna give me, like they're gonna tune me and shit like this, and wonder why nobody loves me anymore. That's what that boat would be thinking, right? So, but me, have you actually heard about this concept that the whole universe is energy and you're at one with? So that's what that is, right? So that's a question, and I think it resonates with most people when you say you're at one with everything. Well, with spiritual people at least, this question resonates. And if you're watching this, you're probably a spiritual person, or at least inclined to be interested in these kinds of questions. Guys, Don Juan said to Castaneda simply, this is what he said. He said, I'm about to give you the greatest piece of wisdom or information ever. Castaneda's like, great, I'm going to write this down. And he gets his pen ready and whatnot. He's licking his pen with relish, I suppose. And then he's like, Don Juan's like, okay, right now, he said it somewhat differently, but it's no less compelling or interesting as saying that you're connected to everything. He said, right now, we're surrounded by infinity. And he gestures around them. And obviously they're sitting out in the desert and the coyotes are howling and all this kind of cool castanetic stuff. So now, he said, we're surrounded by eternity. And you, Carlos Castanedo, aka Carlito, you can extend yourself in any direction into infinity. That's what he said to him. And he's like, whoa, like, so, it is a great statement. And then Don Juan was like, not only that, if you had enough personal power, enough, let's call it spiritual energy. Let's call it spiritual energy. That's a great term. If you had enough spiritual energy, just the mere force of my words would have carried you off into infinity. Just the force of my words, right? So what's with poetry, right? Poetry resonates, stories resonates, and poetry resonates. Poetry resonates because it somehow clarifies or somehow tunes us into our connection with whatever is out there, quote unquote, and in fact, whatever transcends our day-to-day experience of the world. Guys, you know what's really interesting? It's one of those things that makes Islam seem like a bad religion, like helicopters. No, I'm just being stupid. Guys, the Quran actually has a chapter called The Poets. And poetry resonates because it, as Don Juan would say, it dusts, quote unquote, it dusts our link with intent. What is intent? Poetry dusts your link with intent, I dare say. So intent is this boat is doing weird and interesting things now. Guys, if you simply pay attention to the world, that's all you ever need to do or will want to do after that. If you actually learn how to pay attention to the world. I don't actually even know how to do this. I first learned about this concept about 25 years ago, right? Like, to tell you the truth, I'm still trying to figure the thing out. It's another Castanedian concept. Like, so basically, like, literally, like, just the other day I was listening to the audiobook of Encounters with the Nahual by Armando Torres, okay? And he's like the greatest source of Carlos Castaneda. You guys have to go out and look this dude up. Okay, I'll tell you what. I usually, and for like years, like 20 years, I've preached the ethic of not downloading IP, intellectual property. Intellectual property, guys, are things like movies and software and books and things of that nature. However, I finally realized that most people have it wrong, just like with most things, I dare say, including myself. Guys, if people are listening to your stuff or watching your stuff or reading your stuff, that's actually a good thing. And who are you? If this thing is worth its salt, your content, who are you to get in the way of your content? This is what I realized as a branding guy, right? And as a marketer. Your content is more important than you are. Therefore, if your content is freely available and you haven't put in the time and the effort and the intellectual kind of safeguards, the IP safeguards, then your stuff, and if your stuff is digitized, your content or the meat and bones of what you're saying, it's like people say, guys, people say that music should be free. Some people say software should be free, right? I was talking about Salesforce.com. This dude, like, for the longest time, just to get his point across, and not because it was true, he had his people wear badges with the word software and like that Ghostbusters thing, like crossed out. The word software crossed out, right? Who's this guy? Mark Benoit, who started Salesforce.com. Software crossed out. What does that even mean? It means nothing. It's just marketing. He's alluding to software as a service, SaaS, also known as cloud computing. By the way, also known as just the internet or networking. Like two computers talking to one another is cloud computing. But Salesforce.com, their whole thing, their whole point was, guys, I'm going to shut this off at 30 minutes. No question about this. Okay. I'm not going to keep talking. Like, I need to get home and pray, by the way. So, yeah. So, Mark Benoit, they had buttons with the word software crossed out. Like some people, like the open source people, like there's this literally like there's this dude with a beard who's like the Merlin of the open source software movement, or the Daniel Dennett of the open source software movement. This guy basically is one of these guys who has nothing to do with money or materialism and whatnot. I suppose rather like the person I'd want to be is a spiritualist. Anyway, so the question of I/me, okay, and the question of your story, and the question of you, and the question why, right? The question why. Let's put it this way again. The question why is the most important thing there is, right? So, like Nietzsche said, if you have a why, the what doesn't matter. If you have a why, the what doesn't matter. That's basically what he said in modern terms. If you have a why, what doesn't matter. Okay, what he literally said was if you have a why, then you can put up with any what. But in modern terms, what Nietzsche said is if you have a why, what doesn't matter. And obviously, these self help gurus, and I wish I had um, the temerity to be one myself, quite frankly. Who wouldn't want to be a life coach, right, guys? But these guys have taken Nietzsche's statement and slightly altered it. I won't say they've twisted it, but they say things like this. This is what they say. They say, if you have a why, then you can accomplish any what. Actually, what they say is, if you have a why, the if the what doesn't matter. And I guess that's the way to look at Nietzsche's statements. So I guess they're right. For a while, if not years, I'd been saying that they were wrong to say this thing, but I suppose they're right. Because here's what it is, guys. I/me, once again. I/me has now something called my story. It starts with my situation. Like this situation, right? It's obviously perfect, right? First of all, if you're not an atheist, it's obviously perfect. If you're an atheist, this is random. All of this is just random. This is random. Like, and it's random, and and it's accidental, guys. So now, once again, the question why is the most important thing there is. The reason is because of something Nietzsche said, which is that if you have a why, if you can answer why, then what doesn't matter. If you can answer why, then what doesn't matter. Okay, that's really the way to say that. If you have an answer to the question why, then the question then what if you can answer to if you have a why, yeah, I'm trying to just figure out the right soundbite, guys. If you have a why, the what doesn't matter. That would be the way to say it. And it's exactly like they say in Amway. If you have a why, the what doesn't matter. So now the opposite therefore is also true. If you don't have a why, then uh, then what? Let's think about that. So now the problem becomes when you forget that whatever why you have is subjective, guys. So this is something atheists say that is actually kind of meaningful. I mean, actually everything they say is pretty meaningful apart from their fundamental thing, right? Which is that there's no order, right? Like there's no cause. Like these people walking down here, this is just a random accident. I mean, it may be a random event, but it's ordered. All of this is ordered. These are all signs of order. Like these mountains, like there's a reason for them, by the way. The water, the buildings, all this stuff, the universe at large. By the way, guys, order does imply design. I have videos on this thing you can look up. So coming to the end of our first stream, and very excited about this. And I was saying that you should not encourage or buy or promote Windows or Microsoft because they are shit. They're total shit, guys. If if I was a bold kind of agent provocateur type of marketer, I would actually make the following statement, which I'm about to, by the way. Microsoft and therefore Bill Gates, I dare say, have actually slowed down uh, the scope of progress and technology. It has to be said that there's a case for the fact of Windows being so bad that it's actually slowed technology and technological progress down, right? So that's what that is, right? I love the Xbox, but that's the only Microsoft thing that I believe in, encourage, or support. So the Chromebook that I'm filming this on, Effers, is my latest technological kind of, what is this thing? um, Purchase, I guess you'd say. So I went to Staples, and like $250 or $300 later, I have this beautiful thing that has a 10-hour charge. 10 hours. I can walk around and find random hotspots and then, like, basically beam, like, live, as it were, views of Vancouver to you, right? So 10 hours of this thing, by the way, that in itself is like priceless. Not to mention, um, it's super fast, guys. I just shut it and literally open it whenever I need to use it. It's faster than your phone. Like, as soon as it, like, or let's put it this way: if when I shut the, I don't even, like, there's no sleep button on here, and there's no software on here because there's no Windows on here. It's a Chromebook. It's a machine or a device that simply runs Google Chrome. It apparently has apps on it. I could not really locate them. There's no dashboard to run apps off of. So for all intents and purposes, it looks like a slimmed down laptop, but it's something way more powerful in terms of your general productivity. If you're listening to this and this stuff makes sense, you need to check this thing out. It's like $250, and it's like 10 hours of walking around. And I'm rediscovering writing, guys. I'm literally rediscovering a lot of things just by virtue of being able to get away whenever I feel like it, and then fire up this thing whenever I feel like it. And half of the time, I'll find a hotspot, and then it's like game on, right? So right now, I'm streaming this thing live, and the sun is literally setting. I need to go home, all this kind of stuff. Now, guys, the thing you call I/me, what is it? It includes things like your name, where you're from, your age, what you like, what you don't like, all these kinds of things. Now, the question of what you like and the question of what you don't like and the question of whether you have an intrinsic personality, that's an interesting question. Because for a while I had the theory that maybe, maybe as a baby, maybe as a baby, you did not have a personality. But one day you did something and your parents were like, wow, that was kind of cute. And because they gave it so much attention, that developed into part of your personality. Is this possible? It's possible. I mean, you can't discount anything. However, then I think about animals. Like, since then, we've had not one, but two Shih Tzu puppies. So, our first Shih Tzu, my wife gave away before it grew up, more or less. She gave it to our, or her niece in Bogota, Colombia. That's where she's from, right? So, it's like, does the dog have a personality? Of course, it has a personality. That's why we love dogs, right? So, what does it mean that the dog has a personality? That kind of question, that question means that everything, because it relates to the question of I/me, as in yourself, okay? And it relates to the question of, do you have a personality? And of course, there is something there. You do have a personality and you have a story. But my point is that personality one of many? Is it one of many possible personalities? I think the answer to that leans towards a solid I do not know, right? In any case, I/me is just labels and thoughts. My name's Hussein. I'm from Pakistan. I'm 45. I'm currently in Vancouver. I like chocolate like most people. I don't like rude people and blah blah blah. Life is hard because yada yada. This is where I'm gone. This is, how about this? Like, we met this dude from, like, I don't know where he was from. He was actually Jewish, a really nice guy. His name was Ron. I was meant to help him with some videos or something. Ron, I'm sorry I never got back to you, bro, but I never forgot you. Let me just say that, if it means anything. it doesn't mean anything, by the way. It comes back to the same question of who is I/me and what does he actually want? And we'll come to that in our next video. Thank you for watching. Appreciate the thumbs up or down or comments.